Hey guys, it's me, SSJ Raikage, and today we're doing part 2 to What If Deku Was an Airbender, so let's get right into it. Okay guys, so it's been about a day since the last part of this What If. So Deku does exactly what Aang told him to do, and he starts meditating. And so then Deku's just rushed to this world that he doesn't know, that he's not familiar with. It has a bunch of like weird animals flying everywhere and weird tree-looking things. And then he sees Aang. And for some reason, Deku just has this comfort whenever he sees Aang. And Deku asks what this world is, and Aang tells him that it's the spirit world. And then Deku asks Aang that he had a question that he had from their last meeting. And he asks Aang what airbending is. So Aang explains to Deku what airbending is, and he explains to Deku like what the purpose of bending is. So he tells him about the lion turtles and how they gifted humans the ability to airbend a long time ago in the era of Rava. And Deku starts to understand this. He's still like a bit perplexed because he's never been like in the spirit world or anything like that. But he's beginning to understand what Aang is telling him. And so then he asks Aang how he can preserve airbending culture. And then Aang starts telling him all about airbending culture. And he teaches him. And he tells him about how the Fire Nation wiped them all out during the 100-Year War. He tells them how they're all pacifists and how they do not use their airbending for primarily combat. He tells him just all of about the philosophy and culture of airbending. So then Aang starts telling Deku that he knows Deku wants to become a hero to save people. So he needs to learn how to airbend correctly. And Deku asks him how he can do that without being too violent. And then Aang starts explaining to him how to airbend. And so Aang tells Deku to activate his quote-unquote quirk. He just says it in a way that Deku would understand. So he tells him to activate his quirk, and Deku does. He starts generating a small spinning ball of air in his hand. Then he tells Deku to start walking around in a circular motion, and Deku starts doing this. And then that small ball of air that Deku had just generated starts to grow and grow and grow. And within 30 seconds, it has become a giant tornado that he can now manipulate. And Deku is just amazed by this because his quirk has never been this powerful. And he's really confused, and he really doesn't not know how he could generate a tornado like this when he's never done anything like that before. He asks Aang this, and then Aang explains to Deku that airbending is all about circular movements and motions. To better explain to Deku what he was trying to tell him, Aang brings Deku to the Air Temple Island, which is the island where Tenzin and his family lived in the Legend of Korra. And when they get there, Aang tells Deku that airbenders need to move like a leaf, just moving with the flow and moving where the wind takes them, and this usually is in a circular motion. So Aang brings Deku to the airbending gates, and these gates are where airbenders master the art of movement with their bending. So Aang, using airbending, causes all these gates to start spinning. He just expertly walks in there, and he moves with the flow of the wind, and he doesn't get hit by the gates once. And Deku is just amazed by this. He hasn't seen anyone move so fluidly and gracefully in his entire life. And Aang tells Deku to try this. And Deku does, and he gets hit. He fails the test. So Deku has like a real problem with this, and he can't really grasp onto this. And so for 2 weeks, Aang trains Deku in getting through these gates perfectly. And he, like I said earlier, he uses the leaf example and how he needs to just move with the flow. And so finally, Deku tries this one final time, and he says that if he can't master this, then he's just going to drop his training with Aang. And Deku really concentrates before he does this, and he really clears his mind. He closes his eyes, and he walks through the airbending gates. He does it with ease. He does it without even hitting one single gate. And when Deku gets to the other side, he was just amazed that he was able to do this without hitting the gates, because before this he had had so much trouble with this. And Aang asks Deku how he did it, and Deku said that he just had a clear mind and he was just moving with the air currents. And Aang explains to Deku that he needs to airbend like this all the time. And Deku really takes this to heart and incorporates this into his style. So now we are about six to 7 months in, right before the UA entrance exams. So they're on the 7th month now. And this is just after Deku had gone through the airbending gates perfectly. So Aang now teaches Deku how to evade and dodge, just like an airbender in a fight. So Aang tells Deku that the reason that he brought Deku to those airbending gates was so that he could grasp that before he can actually how to evade properly in a fight. So Aang tells Deku to go at him with all he's got, and Deku does. So Deku just starts throwing out these compressed air balls. He uses the air scooter to try to catch up to Aang. He throws kicks and punches. He throws air wind blasts. And Aang just dodges all of these effortlessly. He always ends up behind Deku, and he's always going on the defensive. He never goes on the offensive. And Deku just looks at Aang move so fluidly, and Aang explains to Deku that airbending is also all about evasion. Airbenders usually don't have a strong offense, but they make up for that in a really, really strong evasion style defense. So Aang starts training Deku in this, and he tells Deku that he needs to be agile, just like a gymnast. And so Deku keeps training with this, and eventually he gets to the level where he can dodge all of Aang's attacks. So he dodges. By this point, Deku knows that Aang is already the Avatar, so he knows all this. So Deku's capable of dodging like an air sweep, a fire plume, a boulder, and like a water whip. So he's also capable of dodging all these attacks that Aang could dish out at him. So at this point, Aang sees Deku as like a prodigy in terms of airbending, not near how he was, but he'd still be a pretty skilled airbender, and he kind of wished that Deku was living during a time when the airbenders were in their prime. We are now in the 9th month of Deku's training, and now he has mastered evasion. He just now mastered like that flow that airbenders have with their evasion techniques and defensive techniques. So now Aang starts teaching Deku more offensive stuff. And Aang kind of turns off his morals on this. So he doesn't completely become like a bad guy or something, but he knows that his society is a lot different from Deku's society, and he knows that in order for Deku to save people, he's going to have to be a bit more violent in his world than he would have to be in his world. So Aang starts teaching Deku more offensive airbending. So Deku has already learned how to generate like tornadoes and stuff, but he hasn't really learned how to like throw compressed like air sweeps and stuff like that. So Aang he starts training Deku with this, and he tells Deku to just generate a gust of wind by just waving his hand out. And Deku does this. And then Aang tells Deku to mimic what he's about to do. So Aang generates a sweep of air, but it was so compressed that when it hit a tree in the spirit world, it literally sliced right through that tree. And Deku was just amazed at this. He'd never seen such precise and compressed airbending. He was nowhere near that level yet. So Deku started training with compressing his air down into smaller and smaller places. So Deku was starting to get a grasp of this. So eventually, he wasn't able to cut like right through a tree. He was able to slice it up pretty well. So if you guys want a reference to this, it's pretty similar to the Wind Scythe Jutsu from Naruto that Tamari uses. And so once Deku masters this, he is able to cut through trees and stuff like that. And now that I think about it, Wind Scythe sounds like a cool name for this. So I'm going to name this attack the Wind Scythe attack. So now Deku has a few super moves. He has the Wind Scythe, which he just created. He learned the air scooter all on his own, which is actually kind of a coincidence because Aang invented this technique without... he invented this technique, and Deku learned how to use it without Aang. So Deku has the Wind Scythe, the air scooter, and what should I name that technique where Deku removes wind resistance, guys? Please comment down below what you want that move to be called. And then he also has the move where he creates a vacuum. So this is a move that Deku used in his final, or he didn't use, he created in his final month of training with Aang for the UA entrance exams. And basically what Deku does is he lowers the air pressure in a certain area. So when you lower the air pressure in an area, all the air around that is going to want to suck into that place. So basically how this move works is, Deku he lowers the air pressure in a certain area, which then causes everything within a certain vicinity to literally just move right towards that spot. And by generating this super move, Aang wants to give Deku his air nomad tattoos, but Deku doesn't feel like he has earned this because he says he doesn't want to get those tattoos until he feels like he has become a true hero. So Aang respects Deku's wishes. So Deku does not have his air nomad tattoos right now, even though if he was in the Air Nomad Society back in their heyday, he would have gotten them for creating this technique. So Deku decides to name this move the Perfect Vacuum. So now Deku is all trained up for the UA entrance exams. So since he's all trained up, he has almost mastered all of these techniques. He has completely mastered Aang's evasion tactics that he taught him by going through the air gates. And Deku has almost mastered the Wind Scythe. He has almost mastered the Perfect Vacuum. And he has almost mastered the air scooter. So Deku seems to be a pretty powerful opponent. And right now he is extremely powerful. And he's really confident that he will do well in the UA entrance exams. So Deku is completely done with his training for the UA entrance exams. And right before Deku goes to take the UA entrance exams, Aang tells Deku that he needs to create a staff. And in the staff, he needs to make it able to glide. So Aang shows Deku his glider, and then Deku asks why he needs to do this. And Aang explains to Deku that this is the signature weapon/tool used by the airbenders, the air nomads. So Deku goes home and he builds this right before the UA entrance exams. So he builds it himself because if he builds it himself, UA will allow him to use it during the exams. So that's why Deku built it himself. Okay guys, so that's going to be it for part 2 of What If Deku Was an Airbender. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you guys want more. And I put up a poll earlier in this video. If you didn't vote in it, please vote in it now. But basically, I want to know if you guys want me to continue What If Deku had a flying quirk, or I will pick one of the what if comments that you guys put in the comments of this video. And whichever one I like the best, I will do in place of that if you guys want. So if you guys want a different one, please comment down below what you want. And yeah, guys, I'll see you later. And before I go, so after I post What If Deku Was a Firebender Part 1, my normal schedule of what ifs is going to go back to normal. So I'll start putting in What If Deku was Danny Phantom and What If Deku had the Smoke Fruit back into my schedules. Just I didn't do it this month because of Avatar month. So now we can officially say bye, guys, and have a good day.
組手は終わり。かかしの勝ちだね。